So I did a poll on Instagram recently about what the biggest barrier that stops people going to the gym is. And 71% of people said that time is the biggest reason they can't get into the gym as much as they'd like. So what I'm going to do is try and prove to you that even if you have limited time, there's something that you can do. So I'm going to do a strength session today. And this is going to be suitable for building strength and from a hypertrophy point of view. I'm going to show you that even while filming this YouTube video, you can get it done in half hour, 40 minutes tops. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Okay, so you just saw me doing a bench press. So that was my last couple of reps of my sets to failure. Now let me put some context here. So what the research tells us is that we don't have to follow the traditional strength training and bodybuilding approach of 3x10. You can actually get similar gains from condensing it. So one way of doing this is through supersets. And that's what I did the other day. But I thought everyone really knows about supersets, so I'd show you the slightly different way of doing things. And that there's actually been research that shows that even from one set of training to appropriate intensity, you can get some really good results from. Now, I'm not going quite that far, but I'm going to go for a two-set approach. So, of every exercise I'm doing today, my first set is going to be of 10 reps. So on bench, I did 50 kilos for 10 reps. With a tempo of a 3-second eccentric, so on the bench, 3 seconds down, 1 second pause, and then press. And then the second set is going to be a weight the same or slightly heavier to failure, using the same tempo but to failure. So I use 60 and I only managed to get 8 reps on 60 with that tempo, which to be fair, I haven't benched in ages. I'm just doing it to prove the point really. And if you want to get in the comments and say that I've got a shit bench press, yeah, I know. So fire away. But so that's going to be the principle. So now I'm doing a seated row. The reason these two exercises are first, the other day I trained a vertical pull and a vertical push first, okay? So I had a vertical pull as a pull-up, vertical push as a seated dumbbell press. Today I've gone for horizontal or both. Horizontal push bench press, horizontal pull seated row. So let's do the same again, straight into it. Perfect. Well, I should also note that on the program it says I'm meant to be doing goblet cycle squats, but I was a bit stupid earlier and I've fucked my toe up, so I can't put any weight through it. So, not an excuse to stop. I'm just going to sub it out for a leg extension because no weight has to go through it on that. So, same principle, and I'll show you what my face looks like when I get to failure and embarrass myself a bit just so you can see what training to failure actually does look like. Another note, if you think my angles and the way I'm filming stuff looks a bit weird today, well, because of the equipment I've got available and there's absolutely no personnel to be seen. So I'm doing the best with what I've got, but you're going to have to bear with me a bit on this one. So yeah, so there you go. We're on to single leg hamstring curl now. It's still important to be training single leg exercises as well. And what I will say, some of our more functional exercises, like our step ups, especially, can be a bit difficult to train to failure because then there's a risk factor involved. That can be also said for things like some other bilateral exercises such as your dumbbell RDL. Those sorts of exercises I'd put on the days, like I said earlier, where I'm doing some supersets, okay? A good way of doing supersets is your agonist-antagonist. So for example, I would just superset, or today, like my bench press with my seated row, okay? Because that is both horizontal push, horizontal pull, the agonist muscles on a bench press, the antagonist on that bench is the muscles I'm going to use on my seated row. So that's a good way of structuring them. Same things like squat hinge, usually quads, then hamstrings is the best way to think about that. But yeah, that's a good way of structuring your supersets. and that you can include more exercises like your RDLs, or exercises where if you train to failure, there's just a slightly higher risk involved. If you do every exercise right, obviously you shouldn't be injured anyway, but some exercises do naturally have a little bit of a higher risk surrounding with that. Right, so I'm probably going to go a bit over just because filming this and trying to set this nicest way possible, this shitty tripod up, it's probably cost me about 10 minutes. So just got hanging leg raises to go. As always, this is a good thing for your core. Obviously, as I've covered before, ab training, core training are different. Some exercises I wouldn't put in this situation. For example, I love an ab rollout. I wouldn't do an ab rollout to that extent of failure just because it's hard to do right anyway. And I think that people will definitely be creating too much tension through the lumbar spine if they did that. So hanging leg raises, it is, I can control the eccentric nice and easy to match the tempo I've been doing for the rest of the session. And yeah, let's do it. Right, that's me done the hanging leg raises. As you can see, it took me 39 minutes for this session, and now if I didn't have to film this YouTube video and muck around with my tripod, it would have definitely been under half an hour if I was just getting on with it. So obviously that's really good. Now, this is just a really good example. If you don't have too much time to train, you can still go and get some good work done. Because let's remember, it's not like I've been skimping on exercises. Like, I've still done, what have I done? I've done a bench press, I've done a seated row, I've done a leg extension instead of the squats. I did single leg hammy curls. I did hanging leg raises. I think that was everything. 5 exercises. Most workouts have 5 exercises in or 5 elements in and take hour to hour and a half, okay? So we're 20 minutes below the lower end of that range, and I've just filmed a YouTube video. So I think that's pretty damn good going. One thing to note, the only reason this works is if you have the right intensity. So if you're gonna still come in and finish your sets and feel like you can do another 5-10 reps, and obviously you're not training hard enough. So I don't know if I can I say I'm gonna say it anyway, and I'm not monetized, so there's no way for me to be demonetized. But that's the way that you need to go about it, because once we're getting rid of those 3, 4, even 5 sets that you might do with an exercise, it becomes really important to focus on our intensity and adhering to that tempo, because the tempo provides us time under tension, which means we can almost make up for not doing those extra sets. So that's my final thoughts. Yeah, and just quickly, because I thought that was actually a really bad way to end the video. I've heard a rumor that if you sign up to my email list, you're actually guaranteed gains for the next 3 years. So I highly recommend you do that, because obviously we don't want you missing out. But yeah, one quick final note is that what I will say is that you may plateau at some point, as with any training, when you train in this way, just because it will get a little bit harder once you've added a couple more reps to your sets to failure, etc. So that's when you need to mix up exercises, or maybe try more superset based training, as I mentioned, or just mixing it up in a different way. Okay, so I'll leave you with that. Yeah, sign up to the email list because you'll be happy forever, and I'll see you soon.